Hi there. My name is Chris Palmer, and my daughter's name is Claire. She's in eighth grade at Hamilton Middle School in Cypress, Texas. Really great school. We have a really great daughter. Our daughter gets all A's most of the time. She's a cross country runner. She's very disciplined, very organized. She's just an overall great kid, and I would say she's a little bit of a leader. She likes to have friends, and she's just real social. So the challenge that I was having with my daughter is that it seemed like every time she was in a situation where she had to stand up for herself, she wouldn't do it. So for example, last summer she went to camp and she came home in tears because this one girl had been picking on her and falsely accusing her of taking her stuff, which my daughter did not do. But my daughter did not know how to deal with it. She didn't have the skills. And then some other instances like that came up at school. They were small, but they're big for eighth graders. So my thought was, how do I help Claire get the confidence she needs to stand up for herself? Because it wasn't as if we had a problem with motivation. She does her homework, she gets good grades, those weren't the issues at all, and she's just an overall good kid. And so I thought about maybe I should take her to therapy. And then I did some research on it, and I thought, I don't know that therapy is the right answer for this. So then I did a Google search, and my Google search consisted of, how do I teach my daughter confidence? What books or classes are out there? And then I found Dr. RJ's name on a Google search. I'm also on Facebook, and at about the same time, I had also seen a number of ads for Dr. RJ on Facebook. But I did some more research on Google. I read his website, read a lot of the reviews, and then I contacted Dr. RJ's office and set up an appointment. So why did I choose Dr. RJ? After reading all of his reviews and really going through his website and looking at all the things that he tackled, I felt confident that this was worth a shot. The other thing that I liked about Dr. RJ's program is that he has the parents involved, and I can talk about that in a minute, but I think that's a big component of my daughter's success in his program. So as far as what changes I've recognized in Claire while she's been in the program, I think she's more confident. And that was really my goal of putting her in the program, was that I wanted her to develop the confidence to stand up for herself and take care of herself. The other thing that I think has really helped her is the goal setting. So for example, she is getting a B in math right now. Math is getting hard in eighth grade, and I can't help her. My husband can, because he's an engineer and he knows how to do all of that. I don't. So the most I can do is tell her to go to tutoring, but that's not really that helpful. So Claire and I talked about how she could get her grade from a B to an A, and she actually came up with her own 4-point plan. And it sounded just like something Dr. RJ would say in one of his podcasts. She came up with a 4-point plan as to what she's going to do to go from a B to an A. And so that's where we're at right now. And hopefully by the end of the semester, she'll meet her goal. And even if she doesn't receive an A at the end of the semester, that's okay, because she's going through the process of putting together her plan to hopefully get an A. And so as far as these changes with our daughter, how have they affected our lives? I think my husband and I and Claire, I think we're all a lot happier. Not that we were unhappy, but when there's stress or strife with one person in the household, it affects everybody. And so I just think we're all a lot happier is the bottom line. And what do I like the most about life coaching? This kind of requires a 2-part answer for me. So with Dr. RJ's program, for people who don't know how it works, he has meetings on Sundays with just the teenagers, and he gives them advice. And then after the teenager meeting is over, he meets with the parents, and it's just a Q&A. Parents can ask questions, and I've never asked a question, but I've learned a lot from listening to Dr. RJ's answers to the other parents' questions. So that's very helpful. But I think the other thing that people need to know if they sign up for the program is that they really need to take advantage of the modules. So on the parent website, he has a bunch of videos you can watch. And the very last module, module 6, is a module on coaching. And I want to say there's like 5 or 6 videos where he goes through how to coach your children. And I have followed that advice, and I think it's really been effective. So if you sign up for the program, I highly suggest you watch the videos and the modules because you'll get a lot out of them. He also has a module with videos on emotions. I want to say there's like 10 or 12 videos on that one. It's definitely worth your time to watch the videos on that. And then with the teenagers, they have their own website, and I know Claire has watched the videos as well. So I think if you go to the classes on Sunday and you do the homework with watching the modules or the videos that are part of the modules, then I think you can really have the greatest impact with your child. The other thing I've been doing that's not part of his program is I've been listening to his podcasts. And I've been telling all my friends who have teenagers, you really need to listen to the podcast from Dr. RJ. They're free and you get lots of really great advice. And then the other thing that I think is really helpful is Dr. RJ focuses on the fact that before you can coach your child or really have much effect on them, you have to have a good relationship with your child. And so I've really followed his advice on various things such as no double pain, smiling, telling your child that you love them and you're proud of them and you believe in them. So I've been following all of the things Dr. RJ has recommended, which has led to me having a better relationship with Claire. And because we have a better relationship, she's more open to us having a discussion about how she's going to meet her goals. So I think that's the biggest takeaway from Dr. RJ is first you have to have a good relationship. And then once you have a good relationship, then you can go into the coach mode as a parent. So you have to get the basics down first, and then you can go into coach mode. And I think his advice is just wonderful. So I think that kind of sums it up.
Hey guys, how you doing? Hey parents. Hello everyone. I think I missed it. I saw 3 hands at once. Usually I can tell the first hand that waves at me, but everyone who waved, thank you so much. I think it was Jody. I think she was the first one. But it's good seeing you guys, and thank you for joining me today. Thank you for all the dads that are joining me. I always get excited when I see dads. It seems like, it's usually the moms. The dads oftentimes are forced to come. The mom's like, hey, you got to come. So if you're a dad out there, thanks for joining me. Now, I want you, if you can, raise your hand if this is your first time. Where are my first timers? First timers. Hey, Amanda. And who is that? Stacy. And is that, oh man, you have to help me with this. Yale? Is that right? Hold on. I got to know how to say the name. Oh, you guys are moving so fast. It's funny. When you try to click on a name, the videos keep changing. All right, here we go. All right. So help me pronounce the name. I need to know.
It's Yael.
Yael.
Yael and Scott, yeah.
Oh, cool. I like it. No, thanks for joining us. And what is the origin of your name? Oh, did I lose you? What is the
No, we're here.
Oh, what is the origin of your name?
It's Israeli.
Oh, cool. Nice. Awesome. No, thanks for sharing that. All right. Yeah, I have 2 boys. It's Jeremiah and Isaiah. So yeah, that's my 2 boys. They're 4 and 2. All right. So today, for the parents, if you're just joining me, I want to kind of share with you the structure of these Sunday sessions with you guys. I am here for you. I'm here to serve you. If you guys have specific questions about anything, we'll definitely have time for that. If you want to receive coaching on a specific topic, we definitely have time for that as well. And if no one will have a question, then I have something to teach about. I always do. So usually the way we do it is we open the floor first for anyone who wants to come on camera and talk to me directly. You just raise your hand, I call on you. And then after that, we go straight to the comment sections and I go in order. Now, sometimes we do run out of time on the comments. So if you have a question that you really want to answer, you probably want to be the first one to start writing comments because I'm gonna go straight in order. All right, I don't skip. So if you have a mean comment, I'll read it. It's okay. All right, so raise your hand if you want me to call on you. Anybody want to be called on? Or we're gonna go to the comment section. Okay, Katie, I'm coming to Katie. Let's talk, Katie.
Hi. So first of all, thank you for all the amazing advice you've given us, because I don't think I would have survived at all without it. But the main thing is huge progress with son who loves games and had a mum that didn't appreciate all the benefits that came with gaming. And so it was a constant fight. So because he has a lot of, I feel like, confidence issues, because he's had a hard time at school, and I think had teachers when he was younger that didn't exactly make him feel very positive about a learning experience. He finds his confidence through gaming, where in that virtual world he feels amazing, and he loves the freedom, obviously, that world gives him. And I guess my worry or my sadness is just that he is in that world, I would say 80% of the time. And I try, and my husband, we try and arrange lots of different things with friends to try and entice him back into the real world every once in a while. But it's just, I guess it's just so hard on the family dynamic when nothing can live up to the dopamine levels that the virtual world can give. No experience you can offer, no vacation you can give. It's just like having somebody around that just doesn't have any positivity anymore. And I just find that so hard. I just want to, maybe it's just that's a phase and it will pass. But any advice on when you've got somebody who's in quite a negative cycle, whenever he comes away from that thing, nothing can live up to it?
No, it's a great question. You also said something very important. I'm glad you mentioned it, because I want to share it with parents, especially because I hear that a lot, is maybe it's a phase. I always encourage parents never to think that way. Never think it's a phase, it'll go away, unless you're reframing in your own mind. In other words, that you're super like OCD about something, and then maybe that calms you down. But whenever, there's some issue you see in your child, there's nothing wrong with trying to intervene as a parent with your child. So I encourage you, if you see something, absolutely try to figure out how to, I'm a big believer in coaching your child through something. But never, I always encourage parents, don't think like, oh, it's a phase, I'm just gonna ignore it. No. If it bothers you, let's figure out a way to coach your child through it, because ultimately, when your child is 18, 20, 21, they're gonna have same experiences, and they're gonna have to learn how to overcome the dopamine, as you mentioned, and still get work done. So just to make sure I'm understanding your specific situation, you're basically saying your child really enjoys gaming. He gets confidence from gaming. He has so much fun with gaming. Most likely a lot of his friends are in the gaming world. And then whenever it's time to get off, there's probably some fights to get him off. And then when he's off, he's kind of just not in a good mood, and you won't really see a smile until he's gaming again.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So that means that, just so you know, this your child is not unique in that sense, because that's something that, I've had, I've coached several times on. So no, thanks for bringing that up. Now, there's a couple things that you mentioned. One is confidence, right? So you mentioned that he gains confidence from that. So that's important to know. Also, happiness is another emotion he's getting from that. When you mentioned the dopamine, he feels good. And most likely he has a lot of friends gaming, right? So there's the camaraderie, the connection. All humans need love and connection. So it seems like your child is getting all of his needs met by the game. Now, you guys being great parents is like, okay, let's see if we can try to meet some of these needs on other things, like a vacation, trying a new sport, or just doing something different. And there's just, when you see resistance.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Awesome. Now, share with me this question. So how are you guys, or what is the structure around gaming in your home?
So we've had many different approaches. So we had timed gaming for the most part. Then during the pandemic, that kind of went out the window, and I just thought the social connection was so important, and I found that so hard to. I didn't feel there was any, I could offer very much else because everything was shut down, and he didn't want to go on bike rides with his mom anymore, or, you know, so I guess I feel like that is where it went full on. And then then we were trying to put in a structure again that said, you can have it, but not, I guess we weren't rigid enough about having a set schedule. And then because he wasn't going back to school because he was super worried about all of that, we were much more concerned about, you know, we were listening to what you were saying and fight one battle at a time. And so it was like, you know what, he said the most stressful thing for him was time management and having the thing he loved taken away. So he never knew when that was going to happen, and that's what was giving him anxiety. So we then went to, okay, you know what, Tom, you manage your time. You know what, you want the chance to manage your time, we will support you doing that. And I knew that I just had to deal with the fact that that would mean he would make bad decisions, and that I was trying to talk to him about the consequences of those decisions, because he is very, very strong-minded and likes his independence. And I realize he's now at that point where I can try and enforce things, but he would just find a way around it. So as many of these, you know, you try different tactics as a parent, and I'm trying to explain, I'm not doing it to take it away. I'm doing it because I just really want you to have some good sleep and feel better and not be in such a bad mood the next day. But of course, he would just circumvent that, and he's straight back in the gaming. So I was like, okay, let him do that, and then coach him through how that feels and the negative consequences of that, because I guess that's the life lesson I want. So I guess that's where we're at now.
Okay, so no, it's good that you know, I hear that I can tell you have been following me a little bit, because you mentioned, you know, the one battle at a time and all of that. No, that's great. So you're doing a wonderful job as far as from your position. Now, as far as the when you're having these discussions about the gaming, describe the environment. Is it more confrontational, or is it more conversational? So how are those discussions?
So I've been trying to be a lot more positive and ask him about all the fun things he's doing, and be much more involved in, did you have, you know, were you happy with the strategy that you did, and how did it go with the friends, and have more of those conversations. But I guess as a parent, I guess it's just, you know, it's one of those jobs where you don't get very much positive feedback, like at all. And so it was nice because he would engage and he'd be happy when we talked about those things. But, you know, I guess it's just every morning when you take him to school, or you want to do school, the day starts off so negatively because he doesn't want to go to school and everything's wrong, and school ruins his life and he'd rather be gaming. And then whenever I make a suggestion about doing something fun as a family, and I guess this says more about me as a person, to perhaps make my fun outside of the family, but you kind of feel like that's an important thing, that we should have family time together. He is quite resistant to it. I mean, I had his friends over just this weekend, and he did admit that that was fun, but it was all about, you know, how long is it going to be, and how much of that time of my days are going to take up before I can go back to my gaming.
Got it. No, that's great. Now, you mentioned that you allowed him to try to manage himself. So the question then becomes, you know, did he fail? You know, did he notice any mistakes? Did he fail? Did he see anything was wrong with the decisions he made?
Not that he'd tell me. I would say he really struggled he was great. He could get up for school. He has been focusing better in school, which I was surprised at, given that he'd had so little sleep. And he just said to me that he finds gaming very hard because he loves it, but all his friends play different games, and he finds that there's never enough time in the day to make the progress he wants in the game he likes and meet all the demands of his friends and that game time. And I said, so that sounds like that's really stressful for you. And he said, yes. And I said, well, then maybe you just have to make a decision over which game you get the most enjoyment out of. And he was like, well, you know, I get all of them. And so his answer to everything is the reduction in the sleep. But he thinks that's the winning formula, is just less sleep. And that worries the heck out of me.
No, it makes sense, you know. Now I will say, it sounds like, you know, he's taking gaming more than just like the dopamine. It sounds like he's taking, you know, he views gaming as almost not a profession, but almost a sport that he wants to get better at and practice at.
Yeah.
So, and this is no different. And I know that, you know, none of us really grew up with gaming and phones to this degree, but it'll be no different than a, you know, top rated soccer player, tennis player who's, you know, going to homeschooling just so he can spend more energy with tennis and basketball. He's a top rated prospect, right? So it's possible that your child may feel that way, may feel like, hey, like this is serious to me. I want to be the best. And this behavior that he's showing seems that's the case, that he really want to be better. He may even see a future. I'm curious to know, have you guys had any discussions about that?
Yeah, lots. Interestingly, he doesn't seem, as soon as we start talking about those goals, I think he's like, as soon as it starts making it into a job, that's the fun gone. And so he's like, no, he sees himself as a loner in a log cabin with animals. He wants to live the life that he's playing in the games, basically. That's how he feels. He would like, you know, he loves Red Dead Redemption, where he's off on a horse in the wilderness with animals. So I'm just like, okay, trying to work with, you know, let's just be positive and keep the positives around it. But at the same time, just try and get him back into how does this translate a bit into, but I think he's perhaps, I think he just feels there's this big disconnect between school and that helping him with gaming. And he can't see how any of this schooling could ever help him in any way towards any monetizing of gaming. I think he thinks there's the YouTube thing. And I think maybe that's possibly the route, is somehow YouTubing.
Got it. So yeah, I would say, you know, anytime you have a child, you know, we can try to change the child, which in coaching, we know we have some techniques to try to get into the subconscious. But as a parent, what I usually work with parents on is focusing on what you can do. And you did a wonderful job with the idea of bringing friends over and then him admitting like, man, this was actually pretty fun. So I would say you continue on that path, you know, thinking of different ways to incorporate fun so you can sort of say, hey, this is actually pretty fun. But I also would, since you are on the lines of the fighting one battle at a time, is which I recommend, is you still would want to set some type of structure or some type of rules. I don't really like the word rules, especially with teenagers, but some type of structure around gaming in the homes. This is very important. It's no difference than if you had a, you know, if your child had curfew, surely you wouldn't let your child come home at 3 o'clock in the morning. Maybe some of you would, but you know, I would say I wouldn't recommend it. So you definitely want to put some structure now. Now, just so you guys know, whenever it's time to like, you know, lay down the law, in a sense, there's ways to do that where it's not so combative. It's not this power struggle. If you have a teenager, you know, there's probably some type of power struggle already. And often we had to be honest with ourselves as parents. A lot of it comes from our own ego. Now, the cool thing about Katie is I don't really sense a lot of ego in this. You know, she seems to be really concerned about two things, at least that I can tell in our conversation, is one, sleep, which is a valid concern, right? Like anytime, I always tell parents when it comes to the health of a child, physical or mental health, that's something the parents can usually play their parent card on. You know, the problem is the parents play their parent card on a lot of stuff. So then it diminishes the effect of it. And that's just where this whole idea that I come up with the one battle. You know, you fight one battle at a time. You don't try to fight everything, because that way, you know, it's not diminishing your influence in a sense. The second thing I heard about, Katie, is that kind of snuck in the end of our conversation was schooling. You know, schooling wasn't at the beginning, but I heard it towards the end. So that makes me believe, and Katie can definitely correct me if I'm wrong, that Katie is really, really focused on the school and on the future as far as college or whatever, more so than her child. And is that an accurate statement?
Yeah, I think I flip-flopped. So I think it's when your child kind of makes all these valid statements like how much of your schooling influenced your later life and all the rest of it. And I did think so much of what I learned or struggled with, I never used ever again. It was literally, but the fact of the matter is, as my husband said, it does open, sorry about the background noise. It does open doors. It sure as heck gives you an easier ride if you can just get through the tick boxes. So if you can graduate, that's something that you've achieved, that you got. Now, whether or not you get, you know, amazing grades or whatever, I agree with you. And I think it was the fact that he didn't see any relevance in school whatsoever. And I thought, no, you need to understand, because for the social and emotional and for a point of reference with all of your peers, you need it, if nothing else that. So otherwise you're setting yourself up to be a loner already.
Yeah, so that sounds exactly like a parent. That conversation is purely like a parent. I mean, it was spoken in parent logic. So it makes sense why a teenager, especially one who doesn't really see that's maybe in his future, will not really subscribe to that thinking, or it wouldn't really sway him in a sense. So generally, when we are influencing teenagers, we try to influence them with things that already influence them. You know, like if school doesn't influence that person, then we wouldn't really use school to try to influence them, because that's a hard thing to do, to get them to see it the way you see it. So my recommendation is this. I think you definitely want to lay down some structure as it relates to the gaming, mainly because of the sleep aspect. Not so much of school, but the sleep, because that's a real thing. So your child needs sleep. So I would definitely work with him to set down a hard rule. And I hate to use rule. It has to be more so you guys come up with some idea about structure. You can call it structure. You can call it whatever you want. But your child can't, in this case, missing sleep so he can perfect his gaming. Now, with that said, I would try to speak his language. If your child is not seeing the vision of college and the value of school, I would try to speak his language, understand his perspective, and speak to him in terms of gaming, because that's usually what his world is about. It's more gaming. So yes, you still got to go to school. You still got to turn in homework. You still got to do all these things, right? It's just part of being a child. And definitely you want to explain that on their level. No difference in you having to pay taxes, all the above. But if your child feels supported about his vision of the future, as far as like, hey, I just want to live a life in this gaming. And then, mom or dad say, oh, cool. Tell me about this life. I'm very interested in his life. Can I see it? Now you're starting to show interest. You're starting to meet him on his level. And, maybe not even mention college anymore for a while. Just not even worry about college for now. And just say, hey, I want you to be a great gamer too. But just like any sports, we need sleep. So let us come up with some structure on a bedtime so we all get sleep, but yet you can be effective in your gaming. So when you start to speak in his language, then we have a better chance to influence them.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
No, you're welcome. Yeah. And, if he's in my program, so let's definitely keep working with that, because I do want him, we really like having a child who's passionate about something. That passion is so awesome, because he already knows how to tap into it. Remember, all of us didn't really grow up with phones and social media and all of that. So it's easy for us to look at it and be like, oh my gosh, my child is wasting all of their potential on some stupid game. And this is a very natural and normal thought for an adult. But what we're missing in that is the commitment, the passion, this desire to want to be better. Because as the child grows older, and even with coaching, we tap into that. So if you're telling me your child finds confidence in gaming, but then whenever he's around people, there's no confidence, that's so easy for me to coach him, because I can bring him back to the game and grab that confidence and then allow him to tap into it for other situations. So, as a coach, we don't look at it as a bad thing, as a judging thing. We kind of stay with the facts as far as, hey, certain sleep you need. So that's why I encourage you to have some structure, but mainly speak his language.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Katie. No, that's a great question. I'm glad Katie brought that up. I know a lot of parents probably had that experience where their child in gaming. All right, so let us go to the comment section since I don't see any other hands. So I'm gonna go who's first. And oh man, you guys put a lot of comments here. I'm about to go fast. Let's see, but luckily I talk fast, so it should work. Let me find the first one. Sorry. Let's see, listening. Okay, I already saw that one there. One person talks. So I'm still on the teens. And by the way, we had a great session with the teenagers today. We really worked on active listening, which is awesome. So make sure if your child is in my program, really pay attention to that, because we really practice active listening. So an example of that would be if you are telling your child, hey, I have to remind you every day to do the chores. Like, this is getting frustrating. You need to go do your chores. There's a response that the child should have for that, that helps you to feel, number one, heard, and it also kind of relaxes you where it won't turn into a fight. Because usually what happens is one person comes a little more aggressive, or the way they perceive it as aggressive, and then is immediately a battle, right? Because the other person want to defend, and aggression and defend, and then aggression here and defend, and that's where we have all of our arguments. But there's certain ways and certain words to diffuse an argument, like that. In fact, it's so funny. I use it regularly now, but sometimes I do it on purpose just because I just love seeing it work like 100% of the time. And it absolutely works 100% of the time. So hopefully your teenagers will use it. So you should see less arguments, hopefully this week. And you just let me know if they've been using that. All right, so let's go to the parents. So I would try, oh man, I'm still here. Let's see. I'm trying to find the first one. Okay, so I already talked to Katie, so she's the first one. Oh, that's good. Katie was the first, and then she raised her hand first. All right, cool. And welcome, Wade. I see Wade is their first time. Today, you taught teens oh, here we go. It's funny. So the next question is, hey, today you taught teens active listening. How do we support that? It's a great question. I kind of just explained it to you guys. And honestly, remember, when I'm talking to you, I want you to be the leader. But guess what? I tell the teens the same thing. I tell the teens the same exact thing. Hey, you're the leader in the relationship. So all that means is you are the one that's on guard of your thoughts and your emotions. And you're almost in control of your emotions. And that makes for a great conversation when you can manage your emotions that way. So I'm gonna tell you parents the same thing that I taught them. Active listening is it's one of the easiest concepts, but rarely used. So active listening is basically, if I had to just simplify it to the basic terms, is summarizing what the person said so that they feel heard. You should use this in your relationships without question. If your husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, complains, the natural tendency is to defend yourself. It's natural. You can't help it. It's like subconscious. Defend. Hey, you didn't take out the trash. Didn't you just see me take out the trash like for the past year, and you want to comment the first time I miss it? It's like natural as a defense. But that is how we have fights, because then this person, yeah. So the key is to let that person feel heard, and it literally diffuses, and you can just see their whole body relaxes. So what I'm hearing you say is, I didn't take the trash out. Yep, you're right. If you do that, man, there's no fights. Oh, I didn't take out the trash. You're absolutely right. Look how easy that is. Super easy. Super easy. Man, no fighting. That's easy. So anyway, I was helping the child or the teenagers use that for whenever they are speaking to their peers. A lot of times they get nervous about, having a conversation with a peer because they just don't know what to say. And I'm like, the cool thing about active listening is you really don't have to know what to say. You literally are just summarizing what they told you. Like, oh man, I had a bad day. This teacher is so annoying. I hate math. Yeah, it sounds like you really don't enjoy math. And a teacher, man, that statement alone, you're literally just summarizing what they just said. But what it does is it invites them to talk more, and they feel heard, so they want to talk more. So this is a cool little tool. I call it a play that is used with hostage negotiators all the time. We use it in coaching all the time. And you can absolutely use it as a parent. So how can you support your child on that? Is really just paying attention to it and calling it out. So when you see them do it, be like, great job. I heard it. High five. You just did active listening. That's amazing. Awesome. So you're really just paying attention to them and let them use it. Like whenever they use it, like really call it out, because then they feel good about that. All right, next question. I would like to know more about your program. How does it work? So just so you guys know, I've been coaching for over a decade. I've coached over 5,000 teenagers. The reason why that's pretty significant that I find is whenever I am working with, I do a lot of studying of psychology studies and journals, and a lot of their sample size is like 500 teenagers. And I'm like, man, we have a big sample size. We have 5,000. So a lot of the things that we discover is not really being taught. And I've looked at everything. I've looked at the, there's some, I think it was positive effective training, or I can't remember that. I read so many books by psychologists. And, it's funny when I'm reading these books, I do find where there's a lot that's missing. That's a gap there. That's not in today's teenagers there. That's not going to work for today's teenagers. So we have a lot of information. So the way our coaching program works is that we teach the teenagers the basics. So coaching is different than teaching. And a teenager oftentimes has to learn first. So we're teaching them the basic of mindset, managing emotions, how to pursue a goal. And then we meet with them every Sunday and we talk about real issues and real situations. And I teach on different principles. It's funny, in many years of me doing this, you probably will not hear 2 Sundays alike, because I don't prepare. I don't have this speech written out that I'm writing. None of the above. I'm fully present and I speak based on either the questions that I get or whatever I feel like comes to me at the moment. And we learn different plays a lot of times. Now the program is about a year long, and I say a year total. It's really 8 weeks. I mean, 8 weeks. If a child goes to the program, you can see a transformation within 8 weeks. But we're a results-based program, so we're not like therapy where you pay for time. For us, you pay for a result. So I hope that kind of summarized the program. If you'd like to learn more, definitely, if there's a moderator on here, definitely send them a link to a consultation so maybe you can talk with them. All right, so let's go next. My son has earned his phone back. I know he's happy about that. How do I help him manage his time so that he does not get consumed with it as he has done in the past? It has been really nice having him phone free. He has been more engaged with us. His brothers has read 4 books. Wow. And really just more talkative, outgoing. This is awesome. Now, the question I have for you is this. Now, you are super impressed. You've noticed all these things. The question is, did your son, or has your son noticed those things as well? So I think that's the key. If your son was like, wow, this is pretty fun, or I was able to do all these things, then kind of like Katie, you guys work together to come up with some type of structure around the phone. And, what's so cool about teenagers is they actually see themselves as like mini adults. So anytime, just like I share with you a way to diffuse an argument by just repeating what they said, there's something that you can do to a teenager to make them feel that they're independent and they are a mini adult. And that is to brainstorm with them as opposed to telling them what to do. 2 different positions. Whenever you tell them what to do, you speak like a parent and you're up here and you don't, in their mind, you don't understand me. You don't get me. But if you come to them and say like, wow, these last few weeks have been amazing for me. I noticed all these cool things about you. I mean, I cannot believe you read 4 books. Like that literally blew my mind. And, you know, your brothers, I saw you guys having so much fun. Look at all these cool pictures we've been taking. This is like awesome. And, you know, I just know that you want your phone. Obviously, phones are fun, but I would love to have this part of you too. So what do you think? That's it. So what do you think? And you're quiet and just see what he says, you know? And then your job is to treat him almost like an equal in the sense of like brainstorming, because think about it, it's his life. He, you know, this child chose to do that. They didn't have to. And I hope, you know, there's a lot of praise for your child. And I'm talking to one of the moms here. I don't see your picture, but I hope you praised him so much, because I'm telling you, from a person who's talked to so many teenagers, it could have went the opposite way. I can promise you that. It could have went like, hey, I'm gonna just stay here. I'm a sulk. I'm not talking to anybody. And that's one thing as a parent, you know, it's funny. I always ask parents this question. Who do you think has more power, the teenager or the parent? And most parents, you know, think it's them. You're wrong. It's not you. Now, you don't want to tell your teenagers that they have the power, but they actually do. And the reason why is this. You care, and this is a true statement, like I say, in all of my time working with teenagers, generally speaking, remember, there's always outliers, but generally speaking, parents care more about the relationship than the teen. That's why they have the power. Because if you do something that they don't like, they can absolutely shut the relationship down. And you can't force a relationship, right? You can't force a person to talk to you, and you may force them to speak to you, but you can't force what they think about you, right? So ultimately, the teenager has the control. Now, like I say, don't tell them that. That's just between us, right? It's between us. Don't tell them. So your child could have absolutely went the opposite way. Stayed in this room. I'm not eating. And this is the big one they can get you today. Ooh, this is a big one that we couldn't have used when we were kids. They can choose depression. They can do it just like that. They can turn on depression like that. And you can't really debate it, to be honest. Think about it. You know, depression is there's so much gray with the depression these days. So if you take away, and I've heard this several times, my phone is my only source of happiness. You take my phone away, I'm a sulk, and you're going to force me to do all these things. That's fine. I'm gonna just sit here, I'm gonna sulk more, and eventually I'm gonna feel depressed. And then now you have a bigger problem, right? So thankfully, your child was very responsible. They handled it the right way. But this is where I tell parents, celebrate this and then see them as an equal. Hey, how do we do this? I call it a win-win. How do we get all this? And you get it too, because I saw you smiling. And you get your phone, because I want you to have a phone. I want you to have fun with your friends. I mean, phones are fun. How do we do that? And the child will come up with something. All right, let's go to the next one. My daughter won't go to school because of her anxiety and depression. How do I get her to go? She says it's toxic and stressful. You know, and this one is a tough one, mainly because I don't, you know, this is not a general answer I can give, or advice or recommendations. Well, some recommendations maybe, but because every child is different in this situation. So if your child has stopped going to school, I would like to know more about what's going on. If you're willing to hop on and talk to me, we can talk. But if not, then I can give some general information about this. So anxiety and depression is a real thing. And if the school is toxic, you know, it really depends on the extent of what you're willing to do. You know, there's homeschooling, there's changing schools, and that's not always possible with your schedule and all those things. But it really, I really need to know more about your child specifically to see if my team can intervene before you have to do something really drastic. So I would say either we can hop on right now, or you can email us at support@drrjjackson.com, and let's see about, you know, getting a coach to chat with you guys to see more, hear more about your situation. So that's what, is this Caitlin here? I think this is her. Hello? Hey, Caitlin.
That's actually
Hey, is this you?
I'm Hallie, but Kaylin's my daughter.
Oh, okay, Hallie. Okay, oh, it's so funny. Was she on today? You know what? It's so funny. Because I was calling her Hallie, and then she's just like, no, that's not me. So you guys are, you know, it's so funny how you guys mixed up the name there. So, now today, I don't know if it was a good day for her, but she was in a good mood today on the call. So yeah, talk to me about it.
He's suffering from anxiety and depression as well.
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I think you're breaking up. I'm not sure if it's just on my end.
Is that better?
Oh, so much better. Yes.
So she's been suffering from anxiety and depression for a while. She actually attempted suicide this summer, spent some time in a mental hospital and has been out for a short time. And within the 2 weeks that we tried to go back to her gigantic junior high, she's just the anxiety and of being around there and not being comfortable. She's refusing to go now. So and I'm looking into other options right now, but it's very hard to find. I actually teach, and so getting where I need to be and trying to find something that fits that schedule is really difficult.
No, it makes perfect sense. So I am curious. So today she was in a good mood. Did something happen today?
So she actually suffers from PMDD, and we're kind of pulling out of that this week. So she gets a little better, but once she's made up her mind, it's very hard to change it. She's very determined. So
Yeah, would she be open to a coaching call, you think?
oh yes, definitely.
All right, so moderator, see if you can schedule with mom. I actually want to do the coaching call myself. So yeah, let me chat with her. She showed up in a good mood today. So let me work with her.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, perfect. So yeah, the moderator should reach out to you. If not, then definitely say support at drrjjackson.com, and then they'll schedule a time.
Thank you.
Okay, awesome. All right, perfect. All right, let's see who's next. We were now getting ready for church. Oh, congratulations. Somebody was baptized, so that's awesome. So congratulations. My daughter Mariana was just connected to the team Zoom. Even she saw the video, couldn't listen to the audio due to issues on my computer. Is there a way she can re-listen to the meeting? Oh, yes, she can. We record the meetings. So, and I actually don't know like in the portal where it's at, but it's in the portal. I know for sure. Cause I get, my team like, you forgot to record the meeting. What are you doing? So I know that they put it in the portal. So definitely check the portal. I don't know exactly where. Maybe the moderator can help out on that. All right, let's look at the next one. Dad is here too. And I worry that he is filling his social time just virtually. And should we look to pull him away with other strategies? Oh, I'm not sure what this is talking about. It says Zoom user. So if you're a Zoom user, and you want to hop on and talk to me. I'm not really understanding the question there. I'm not seeing anybody raise their hand. So we'll go to the next one. Speaking of curfew, how do we determine a good curfew for our super social son? And how do we enforce it without staying up until all hours of the evening? What do we do if he doesn't get home by curfew? He is always texting us, asking for more time because X, Y, and Z is happening. And it's hard to say no because we want him to connect with his friends and have a happy teenagehood. But we also want him to be safe and respect our rules. In a larger sense, once you put a structure rule in place, whether it's a curfew or gaming, how do you enforce it? Oh, that's a wonderful question. So thanks for asking that question. I think it's a wonderful question. So the question, the first question is like, all of us will have rules for our home. We all have a different type of structure. Now, it's already been proven that if you are extremely strict, you're losing the battle. It says the best place to be is to be in the middle. If you're extremely strict or if you're extremely permissive, then, it's usually not a good situation. You want to be in the middle. And it's even worse if one parent is extremely strict and the other is permissive. That really makes a very disastrous situation. So, you definitely want to try to be more in the middle. Now, with that said, we want to have rules. And there's something that I came up with that I actually got from, I get plays oftentimes, or these tools that I share with you, I get them oftentimes from, my experiences with coaching teams. But this one I actually got from the Bible, and it works so well as it relates to a curfew. And, I've been using it for many years with families, and it works really, really well. Now, let me see how much time do we have? So it looks like a couple minutes. So I'm gonna give you the fast version, but I know I did a training on this that explains it in detail. I'm almost certain I did. Let me try to find it. If not, I'll just do it, maybe next time. But it's really, really great of how to structure, the rules in the house, call it the rules, whatever. Now, I'll just give you kind of the fast version. So whenever you are creating some structure for a child, a teenager, oftentimes rules have a negative connotation because they're one-sided. In other words, the parent comes up with the rules. All right, so the parent comes up with the rules. And number two, the rules only talk about what happens if you mess up. Of course, who wants to be in that kind of system, right? It's like, I'm gonna make this rule without even considering you. And this is gonna happen if you mess up. Well, that's why we don't have buy-in. So that doesn't work. So if you're doing that, let's restructure the rule. So I call it the Torah or instructions for the child. That's what we do in my household as well, because it works. But it's basically, we're not only discussing what happens if you mess up, but we're also going to discuss what happens if the rule is followed. Like that little switch alone changes, because it basically you're laying it out for them and they get to choose, essentially. They say, hey, if X, this happens, if Y, this happens, okay, you choose, essentially. That's what we're doing. We're empowering them to make a choice. Now, if you want to take the buy-in to the next level, allow them to create the rules. So remember, whenever you're working with a teenager, I always encourage parents to see them not as an equal in a sense of they're a parent, because they would never understand a parent unless you're a parent. Like they can't understand that. But we could treat them as equal as hey, this is a human being that can actually think for themselves and who can experience mistakes and, overcome the mistake. Like they can learn from their own mistakes. We don't want to save them for everything, right? So whenever you work with a child, think of it like brainstorming. That's it, brainstorming. Hey, let's, and I'm a big believer in family meetings. In fact, I'm going to do this full training on family meetings for our parent mastery group that we have. So I'm gonna do a full training on family meetings. They're super important. But this is a wonderful, first family meetings to talk about hey, I want you guys, in this case, we're gonna speak on Carrie's case. Hey, I love, you said it, so I know you're not making it up. I love that you get to hang out with your friends. And I'm gonna be honest with you. The curfew right now is whatever time it is, say for instance, 8 o'clock. Whenever you're hanging with your friends, you ask me for more time. I always want to say yes, to be honest, because I know you're having a good time. And I can just only imagine how it was with my friends. We were hanging out and I want you guys to have a great time. I just need to figure out a way for you to have so much fun, but also for me to get some sleep. Cause I have to stay up to get home. I'm super worried. And I'm just not sure. I've been thinking about it. What do you think about that? And that's basically, you're going to your team. It's hey, I want you to get what you want. I want to get what I want. How do we figure this out? You come up, help me out on this. And I want you to have that kind of a thought or this frame of reference whenever you are coming up with rules in your home. So the teenager and you brainstorm the rules together. Cool thing about this, and I do a full training. That's why so much I want to say about this, because you also want to articulate the why. This is huge for teens. In fact, I was talking to one of the teens today. Her name is Olivia. So Olivia mom, is Olivia mom on here or dad? Raise your hand. Shout out to you guys because she did awesome today. Okay, so I was talking to Olivia and she basically was like, hey, my friends think their parents want to torture them. They give them a bunch of stuff, chores, you got to do all this, do all that. It's all my friends think their parents are trying to torture them. I actually think my mom just trying to prepare me for adulthood. I mean, a very mature thing to think about, great at reframing. I mean, wonderful job, super impressed, right? But thankfully, Olivia's parents have a child, like Olivia, because most of the kids oh, it's torture. They're trying to torture me. So that's why it's so important to articulate the why. So in Carrie, she could have easily said, hey, you missed curfew, you're not going out for a month, and what is a child going to do? Are they going to learn from that? Especially most of the time when we do this, we do multiple pain. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, check out my podcast on multiple pain, I forgot what I called it. Oh, double pain. That's another thing we try to avoid is, well, I can't get into that. No time, but check out the podcast. My point I'm trying to share with you is you want to articulate the why so they actually know. So in this case with Carrie, I really, really want you to have fun, but I can't go to sleep without you being at home. I just can't. It's a mom thing. I know, it's just a mom thing. I gotta see my baby in the bed so I can kiss you. I have to. This is something I have to do, right? And so that's what I want. You know why I want it, and I'm not trying to ruin your fun. It's really because I just want to kiss you on your forehead before in bed, and then I want you to have what you want, and you guys come together and come up with a win-win situation. Now, then you guys want to allow the child to come up with the rule. Okay, mom, how about this? I'll be home. Let's do curfew at 9:30. Okay, fine. You know what? I really try to be in bed by 8, but I really want you to have fun, and I really want to kiss you on your forehead. So it's fine. Let's try 9:30. Now, let's talk about this new, whatever you want to call it, rule. I call it Torah in my house, but rule. What happens if you break the rule? And let them choose what happens. Let them choose what happens. Now, obviously, you're the parent. If they say, "Oh, actually, I get more time," yeah, right. That's not going to work, right? But just kind of work with them and come up with a rule that that's motivated to encourage them to follow the rule. And you have to let them know that. Say, hey, this is not about me trying to punish you. Like, I get no enjoyment out of taking your phone away. No enjoyment. This is all about psychology. I know that there are that pain motivates, right? Also pleasure motivates. So let's talk about the pain. The pain is I will miss, not go out for the next 2 weeks. All right, that's pain. They chose that. The cool thing is this. We're going to ask the new that you probably never experienced. What happens if you do it right? What happens if you follow that 9:30 perfectly? Then what happens? And then they come up with something. Maybe we go to 9:45 next time, or maybe I get to go out twice in 1 week. I mean, I don't know. And let them pick the pleasure. Now they get to choose. So when they're out and they're their friends, they look at the time and they say, I can either keep going on this streak because what we decided is that if I can do this for 6 weeks straight or 4 weeks straight, then I get a 10 o'clock curfew, or I'm gonna stay out and I'm gonna not hang out with you guys for 2 weeks. Which one do I want, right? So they're choosing, and this is a wonderful position to be in. Cool thing is this, because it's not personal against you. You're no longer this unreasonable parent, annoying parent who don't understand. It's like, hey, this is just what it is. This is what we decided on. Come home. Hey, guess what? You're on time. High five. Keep the streak going. You're going to be 10 o'clock pretty soon. Or it's like, hey, I get it. I know you wanted more time. I get it. But you already know what we decided on. It's okay. It's okay. Trust me. 2 weeks will go by fast. Next time we're going to do this. So this facilitates several things. One, a healthy relationship. I mean, the teenagers will not look at you as this parent is just so unreasonable. They can actually feel like, okay, my mom and dad gets it. Number two is preparing them for the real world. You won't always be there, right? You won't always be there. You're trying to help them to see, like, okay, when I make a decision, there's either a pleasure or there's pain. There's a blessing or there's a curse, and I get to choose, right? So hopefully I choose the pleasure, and it's encouraging them to do that. So remember, if it was helpful, I think that's wonderful. If you guys need more information on how to structure it, like I said, I have a full training on it. And if we have time next time, I can definitely do that. So I apologize for going over, but thank you guys for being patient, listening. And I will see you guys next week. Thanks, guys. It's good seeing you, Vanessa. Richard, good seeing you. Irene, thanks, Gloria. Don, Wade, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know it's your first time. Thanks, Julia. Jody, it's good seeing you. MJ's back. Hey, MJ, how's it going? Hey, Kim. All right, see you guys next week.
Hello?